we're all in sales in some way or another. As an author, you're in sales because you're giving people access to new ideas and a new way of looking at things, pathway to a better life, And so it's the same with sales, with whatever you're selling. If you truly believe in the product and service that you're delivering in the company and how you help and serve your clients, then you get to really step into that role of worthy intent where you truly desire to make a difference.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jim Price, and welcome to the Purpose and Progress podcast. This is the place where we explore how purpose can guide our actions and how growth can become a part of our everyday lives. On the show, I talk with amazing guests, from educators and creators to everyday people with extraordinary stories about the challenges they face, the lessons they've learned, and how to keep moving forward. My goal is to share conversations that inspire you to live intentionally, embrace growth, and take meaningful steps to your own purpose. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purpose and Progress podcast with your host, Dr. Jim Price, here where we share inspirational stories and motivational stories on leaders in our industries that help motivate others and do justice to help others in the way they can in their own individual industries and stuff. And we're so delighted and happy to have such a wonderful guest, Miss Lynn Whitbeck. And I just have to tell you, I'm so excited to have you. I mean, you're an author. You're the founder, CEO of Strategic Sales Queens and Petite Two Queen, TV show host, podcaster, speaker, and mentor. So that's a lot that you have going on there in terms of the things that you do holistically. And, we just want to be able to have people say, people always see the finished product of how things go, but they don't always know the backdrop of how people get to that point where they're having their business, successful and things of that nature, and being an author and coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So, we like to have people be able to have a backdrop understanding of where all that come from. People see the finished product, but they don't always see the beginning or what the grind is to get where you at. So tell us a little about yourself and where you feel how your journey kind of started in terms of the your purpose and everything, and what influenced that.
Well, it depends on how far back we want to go. So, but I have been in sales my whole adult life. And I mean, I really started when I was a Girl Scout selling cookies. So I was so excited that I finally got to sell the cookies from being a brownie to being a Girl Scout. And that first year, they had this huge cookie badge that you had to sell a truckload of cookies to get the cookie badge. And I bet a lot of people out there can just sort of feel that, like something they really wanted, that they coveted. That was me. I wanted that cookie badge. And that very first day out I went. I immediately discovered three problems: that not everybody bought or sold, bought cookies or they were home. I mean, first of all, just hauling my little red wagon. You remember the little red flyer wagons with the cookies? They're stacked up there. It was like the Leaning Tower of cookies. And then if they did buy, like Dr. Jim, you'd say, "Oh, wait, Lynn, I want more samosas." And I'd have to run back to the wagon to get them and bring them back to you. And there I was at the end of the day. And you know how you get when you just feel like the world is on your shoulders, and it's like, I really want this. I want it so bad, but how? How am I going to get there? And I told my parents this over dinner, and my dad just looked at me and he said, "Lynn, where do people buy their cookies?" And I went to the grocery store. And the next day we ditched the wagon. Every day, me and my best friend were out there at the grocery store. She played to her strengths. She's at the back table. She took the money and handed over the cookies. And I was out front like the Walmart greeter. I brought them in. And, I really discovered this passion, even at that early age, for sales, because I loved the organization. I actually loved the cookies, right? And I really felt that the cookies were this great thing for people to buy. Not only were they helping the Girl Scouts, right, but they were also buying a great product. And I also learned that you have to have a consistent, repeatable process. And heck, that was even scalable if we'd had more girls out there at different grocery stores, right? Because this was like, early days. And I think that led me down the road eventually yeah, I became a professional salesperson out of college. And it was just one of those things that was funny. I was working at a company I asked them if I could go into outside sales, and they thought the owner was like, "Oh, this is not going to be a good idea." So there was a senior partner and a junior partner. And I shadowed the senior partner for about 2 weeks. And then on April Fool's Day, kid you not, I started my professional sales career. And that year, I cold called every one of my accounts, and I outsold the junior partner that year. And I sold for 8 months, he sold for 12. And the next year I outsold the senior partner. And at the end of the day, it was because sales has always spoken to my core value to be of service. And I believe sales is an act of service when you genuinely desire to help and serve your clients. And we're all in sales in some way or another. As an author, you're in sales because you're getting people access to new ideas and a new way of looking at things, pathway to a better life, you know? And so it's the same with sales, with whatever you're selling. If you truly believe in the product and service that you're delivering in the company and how you help and serve your clients, then you get to really step into that role of worthy intent where you truly desire to make a difference.
That is so true. And sometimes even in business, it's a two-pronged thing where, you're wanting to satisfy the customer, but you're also, in your situation, you're helping community too through, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. So it's almost like a two-pronged impact there where you're having consumers who are happy and with the services and everybody, I love cookies myself. I mean, I would buy cookies all the time, when they have as a school counselor, I would, buy cookies for the kids and they would have the Girl Scout cookies and stuff. And I always loved the peanut butter ones and stuff. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, the tag-alongs.
yes. So I completely understand. I mean, it's a wonderful thing when you're able to do those kind of things and kind of bring more understanding to how business and stuff like that is run in that capacity. Why don't we get into a little bit of maybe some of the obstacles that you face throughout your journey and to get to where you are? Some things that kind of resonated that were kind of you remember like, okay, that was a hurdle that really kind of pushed me to kind of maybe get to where I'm going and stuff like that.
Well, I've always thought of myself as the poster child for taking the long road around to travel a short distance, you know? Just pin me up on the wall.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things, lessons that you learn along the way. And I think a really powerful lesson for me that I learned was on customer repair.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that, you can fix things, you can, reprint things. I was in commercial printing for many years.
Mhm.
But if the client doesn't feel that they've had the opportunity to really have the emotional repair,
Yeah.
that it's still like this sticks in their craw.
Mm.
It's not the way to put it. And so I really learned that you have to allow, your client to vent. You
Mm.
have to let them tell you how it made them feel.
Yeah.
Because when something goes wrong or goes sideways, clients feel betrayed.
Yeah.
A little bit of their trust has been lost.
Mm.
And we're human beings. That we're
Absolutely.
also angry about it. We're upset about it. And if we don't let them talk about that and really not be defensive and not try to talk back or anything, but just listen
Yeah.
and don't say, well, listen, we're going to fix it. No, just let them talk.
Yeah.
And the most buttoned down conservative person still needs to get it off their chest. And when you do that, then they're able to process it. It's sort of like a grief process.
Yeah.
And then they can get to the other side. If you don't do that, you plant a bitter seed and then it takes root and it is hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I had that happen once and I just went, okay, what did I not do right? What do
Mm.
I need to do? How do I fix this? And it's about letting it's not personal. Just let it wash over you. Listen, truly listen.
Mm.
And then what can you do to make repairs? And, I actually ended up being able to get that bitter seed pried out,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I didn't make that mistake again. But I could tell that things had gone sideways
Yeah.
because for months after that, they kept bringing up the incident. And it
Mm.
was like, we took care of it. We fixed it. It was, but by really focusing, it's not about me. This is about them. We're human beings. Sales is an emotional decision. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone out there, they make decisions on their emotions first, and then they rationalize it. So really taking that step back and that insight, I went, okay, wait. And it was sort of like something similar was also going on that my grandmother had passed. And I went, it's a grief. It's a grief process. They were
Mm.
upset and they didn't get to just talk about it. I mean, I fixed it, but that didn't make it better
Yeah.
because they didn't feel like they ever got to go through that, you know, like Elsa, let it go. They didn't get
Yes.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Mm. And you do see that a lot of times. I mean, grief and things that traumatic things that happened in our lives can actually be the trigger for a lot of progress in terms of pushing us forward to what we're trying to do or meeting our purpose and things like that. Even for myself, you go through life and you go through a lot of struggles and stuff, and it kind of propels you to want to be better, do better, and inspire others to do the same as you go along your own journey. So, I mean, that's very inspirational right there. And thank you for being open and honest and sharing that aspect of yourself, because sometimes people are closed off and they want to share, but then people can hear your story and then they'll be able to like say, hey, I can connect with that, and know like I can heal myself too through that process of going through the healing process, even through grief and whatever it may be. So those are thank you for sharing that aspect of yourself. What projects do you feel, as far as achievements and things, that you feel like you really hold dear and close to you in that sense?
So I mean, for my business, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really proud that this is my 10th year. I just
Oh,
literally
wow.
hit my 10th anniversary
Okay.
in business
Congratulations.
as a sales strategist, as a consultant, and I have the same team, the same group of W-2 employees that I've had, and that's amazing. 4 team members who've been with me, you know,
Wow.
and so I think that that's probably in my business. I am really proud of the fact that I'm best friends with every one of my clients. I become very good friends with them. And I had a situation recently that I called one of my past clients and I said, I need some help.
Yeah.
And I know that this is your area of expertise. What do I do?
Yeah.
And not only he was just literally, you call me anytime, you text me anytime, I'm here for you. And he did. He saw me through that whole like 3-week process of I was in a car accident, so there's just a situation to go with that, and he was amazing,
Yeah.
and that's the relationships that you build, so
Mhm.
definitely those are really important to me.
Looking for books that spark imagination and teach valuable lessons? The Adventures of Harold from the Hood has 4 wonderful titles: A Trip to the Park, Friends Like Different Things, Fun Time Lunchtime, and When I Feel So Annoyed. Kids can enjoy animated videos, fun coloring pages, and interactive activity books that make learning about empathy, friendship, and social skills exciting. All books are available on every platform. Dive in today at jimpricebooks.education. jimpricebooks.education. Stay blessed. And I know you are an author too. Maybe you can speak a little bit about the author aspect of things that you do too, just so the audience is aware. Like being an author, it's sometimes you don't know all the rigors and stuff until you actually get in the game, and then it's like, okay, I have a book now. What? Like, what's the next step and stuff? So maybe
Yeah.
share with our audience a little bit about the author aspect of the things that you do.
So my first book was called Practical Wisdoms at Work.
Okay.
It really leaned into my entire sales career, but it was about all the things that sales is this accelerator for your career. You never have to work a day in sales or not at all, but for women especially, if you don't know how to negotiate, if you don't know how to speak up, if you don't know how to work with difficult people, if you take everything too personal, it was intended for, young women and younger career women so that they could bridge the gap. All the things that they never teach you in college, they don't teach you on the job, and you're in these situations.
Mm,
And how do you navigate them successfully?
mm,
So that was a really great book, and it was at the right timing. My one niece was in graduate school, my other niece was in college, and my daughter was about to go to college.
yeah.
So, and it was like that was a really important thing, but it's building on all of the sales experience and how do you apply that in day-to-day career and
Mm,
work. And then I finished my new book is called Joyful Sales, A Better Way to Sell.
Excellent.
And I'm getting ready for that to be published. The audio version is done. I mean, the book is done, but I went through a major rebrand at 9.5 years. I
Mhm.
changed my business name from Petite to Queen, which is still the LLC. And
Okay.
I'm doing business as Strategic Sales Queen.
Yeah.
The book was, and I pulled the book back from publication because just, we had almost 5,000 URLs, I mean, links, within our website that had to be updated. That
Oh, yeah.
was an entire thing.
Mhm.
And I've helped clients go through this before, so I already had the process, the roadmap, but it's very specific steps that you take in order in what you do, because it's not just updating your website. It's
Yeah.
updating your lead magnets. It's updating your emails. It's updating the socials. And you have to do that in a certain order,
Mhm.
right? Then it's filing for a state trademark. Then it's filing for the federal trademark. But once again, you've got to do all these things in order.
Yeah.
And it helps then because by the time, I finally was ready to file for the federal trademark, which has been done,
Mm.
I had to have all these other pieces in place. It
Yeah.
strengthens your case.
Mm.
And if you put the cart before the horse, it just doesn't work right. So anyway, so the next book is Joyful Sales, A Better Way to Sell. And
Mm.
it is about the core things that you have to do to be really successful in your sales, where you step into that worthy intent, which is one of them, is that you genuinely care. You want to give great service. You want to deliver results and a great outcome. And you're curious about who you're working with. And it matters to you. And so that's one of the core elements in the book, Joyful Sales, A Better Way to Sell. But there's also some really good practical advice about things that you can apply in your business immediately so that you can be more effective. And so I'm really excited about that one. And I've already started my next book, which
Okay.
is The 7 Deadly Sins of Sales. And so that will be ready for publication by next February.
Do you think you could give us a little sneak peek of maybe what that might be a little bit about? Maybe give us a breadcrumb or how
Yeah, so the
give us a
7
little
deadlies.
breadcrumb about I know you're probably working
So
on a lot of stuff. You
I'll
got a lot of stuff kind of in the
I've actually
mix.
written all the core content.
Okay. Okay.
So I do a lot where I dictate. I just, I'm a talker.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a salesperson. I'm a talker. But actually, a really good salesperson, by the way, is
Mm.
you're a detective. To
Yeah.
be honest, if you're not listening, 80% of the time, you actually are not a good salesperson.
Mhm.
But regardless, so one of the deadly sins of sales, I'm going to tell you right now, is failure to follow up.
Mhm.
It is, it's my second deadly sin of sales.
Mhm.
So, number 2 on the hit parade of the 7.
Mm.
And here's the thing, when you don't follow up,
Yeah.
you just gave that project, that order, that consulting, that whatever it is
Mm.
to your competition
Absolutely.
because you've
So
had the conversation, you've primed the pump, and then you didn't follow up.
mhm.
And this is the thing that it's an art. I've actually, in my career, I close almost my sales in follow-up.
Yeah.
I do occasionally have people who say, "Oh gosh, they've heard me speak and and I want to work with you. I want to start working." I'm like, "Well, okay, I don't do it. I just don't take your money.
Yeah.
That's not how I roll.
Yeah.
I have to go through, I have to make sure that you're a right fit, that I'm going to be able to help you and that you're a good fit for me as well. And that it's a win-win."
Yeah.
And so, but regardless, most of my sales throughout my career,
Mhm.
and I think because I was in B2B, huge corporate sales, closing multi-million-dollar deals, those
Yeah.
don't happen overnight.
Mm.
But follow-up is so critical, and it's an area that most people have so many questions about.
Yeah.
And they take it personally, they don't know what to say. I
Mm.
mean, there's all kinds of things. They put all these roadblocks, they don't wanna hear the no, but I'd rather get the no so that I actually know what's happening. So I can,
Exactly.
and a no is usually a no for now. It's
Mm.
rarely a no for never.
Mm.
And when you're following up and you're still building that relationship, showing up what it's going to be like to work with you, who you are, they may not be your ideal client, but they
Yeah.
could become a referral resource. They could become a partner. They could become a platform.
Mm.
So I want you to think about it's just not about you. Sales is not about you. It's about your ideal client. And you've really got to, I mean, that leads into another deadly sin of sales. You got to think like your client. So those are some of the things that I talk about in the book, but I go through the 7 deadly sales and how they're intertwined and what they are, what not to do, and what to do.
So I mean, those are you've already given us so many gems and so much Oh man, it's such a, I'm sure the audience and I definitely appreciate it. So you're giving us so many gems right now, just from a business aspect of how to correlate a lot of that in terms of customer service and rendering those services and building trust and all the things that are entailed with business. But you're definitely sharing so many gems. That was going to kind of be my next thing. Like if you were to give advice to someone who's coming up in the business industry and they're trying to maybe formulate their own business, what advice would you give them?
Well, this comes up all the time, but stop projecting.
Hmm.
So what happens is that you project your ideas of why somebody would want your product or service, why they would want to do business with you, and you need to take a step back and really think like your client.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't, you're starting your own business, well, who else have you worked with in the past? Because you can still interview them and understand from their perspective what it's been like,
Mm.
and so if you've been in business for a while, this is something that every time I go into a established business long term, they've never done this.
Yeah.
It's really my own IP.
Mm.
I call it the voice of the client, and it's really to get into the head of your ideal client.
Mm.
And you do that by interviewing them to get the full story arc.
Oh.
So where are they at at the very beginning? What was the pain? What was the problem? What was the solution they were seeking? What was keeping them up at late at night? What was just a dang frustration,
Mhm.
you know? And then, what was it that they wanted?
Mm.
Right. So get into that. And now what's the catalyst? What made them decide I've had enough? I got to fix this. Something's got to give.
Mm. Yeah.
Oh man, I heard Dr. Jim and I know that I need to make a change, right?
Mm.
Whatever it happens to be. So what's the catalyst?
Mm.
And then why did they decide to start working with you? You know, how did you make them feel? What were their thoughts around it? What did they believe around it? And so that once again, you're pulling that language out, always looking for the emotions and motivations through this.
Mm.
Then the step 4 is what's their experience been like working with you?
Yeah.
And what were those initial results?
Mhm.
What were the first things that they had in 30 days? Sometimes it's just a feeling of, okay, somebody's got my back,
Yeah.
finally. That's huge. That's a huge stress reliever.
Mm.
Sometimes for my clients, it's like, I want them to, we actually move forward. Something in their sales starts working better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's those quick results?
Mm.
And then what have been the long-term results that you've delivered and what they've gained from that? And finally, where are they at now? Their business is thriving. They're able to bring more people on.
Yeah.
Their sales are humming. And as they bring new salespeople in, they can just hit the ground running and their business is growing and
Mhm.
they're able to focus on other things, aspects of their business. So, isn't that amazing? Right? So, you get that full story arc.
Mm.
And what's most important is you get the language from your ideal clients, the people you loved working with.
Yeah.
Don't interview somebody that was a pain in your side. And come on, let's be honest. We've all had them. We've
Mm.
all had them. So, and they may be lovely, wonderful people, but sometimes it's oil and water and you just don't mix, right?
Mhm.
But now when you've got that and you need at least 7 interviews that you go through,
Mm.
you've got this great information
Yeah.
that now you can actually use their language.
Mhm. Mm.
And when you do this, it reveals things that you would not have recognized
Yeah.
and that you would not have and also the words to use to communicate.
Mhm.
Because this is the thing, you want to be able to attract them
Mm.
and connect and then guide them to convert them to close a sale so that you can serve them and create impact. So that's the thing. And when
Yeah.
you do that, this is literally the foundation of my entire sales strategy philosophy
Mm.
is that you got to get out of your own way, get out of your own head, and you put this Venn diagram together about what you do, your products or services, who you are,
Mm.
so you can always be authentic, and then what your ideal client, who they are with that voice of the client thinking, and then you put that together.
Yeah.
And then using that voice of the client language, you use that in everything. Use it in your outreach, your lead magnets, your blog posts.
Mm.
You use it when you're talking on a podcast. You use it when you're doing your discovery questions. You use it in your follow-up. You use it in your onboarding. You use it when you're seeding referrals and you're asking for referrals when you've earned the right.
Yeah.
So it's just the whole thing.
Mm.
And it's a beautiful thing. And it is a game changer, which I
Mm.
hate that phrase, but it really is a game changer.
Mm. People will remember a lot of things, but people will definitely remember how you made them feel. So
Yeah,
when you're doing all this aspect of how business goes and stuff like that, and a lot of times, people, they have these sound bites even on commercials. Like you hear the da 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 da. When people hear that, they know that's a sound bite for certain company, and it kind of
yeah,
works the same. People remember how you made them feel in a lot of situations. But
yeah.
those are so many. You're dropping so many gems right now with that. I mean, yes, that yeah, that's how we do it in terms of like collaborating all those aspects of the business world and stuff, and making sure those things stand true in that way. So how could the audience connect with you and in terms of your books and your business? How can the audience connect with you?
Well, there's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to tell you something that's really special. So that is my Get More Clients checklist. And this is going to help people who just want to sort of get a feel like where their sales are at. You
Mm,
know, it's going to reveal if you've got some holes,
yeah.
if you've got some chasms,
Hmm.
if you're doing something really well.
Yeah.
And it takes you about 15 minutes to go through it. And it's going to give you some insight as to, okay, now this is something we should work on
Hmm.
because I can see we got a chasm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can get that at P, the digit number 2, Q dot link / checklist.
Okay.
And it's going to let you get started on that journey of figuring it out. And, you're going to be then connected into our world and you can look at anything else that you'd like to.
Could you share the site one more time just so our audience is this good?
Yeah, absolutely. It's P as in petite, the number 2, Q for queen, dot link / checklist. One word.
Excellent, excellent. So, I it's been like this has been such a world full of just gems in this segment right here, and I'm so appreciative of you, Lynn, coming and being a part of the show and sharing so much knowledge and understanding, just not and sharing about yourself too. Sometimes people forget about the other side of things, like they see the face and they know the company, but they don't really know the name behind the face of the company, or get to know other aspects of the person and stuff like that. So, welcome to the Purpose of Progress podcast show. Once again, we hope your audience should make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you, Dr. Jim.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Purpose in Progress podcast. I hope today's conversation gave you insight, inspiration, or a fresh perspective to help you move forward with purpose. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little encouragement. You can also support the podcast through the donation link in the show notes. Every contribution helps us keep sharing stories that uplift and inspire. Remember, your purpose is waiting, and progress never stops. I'll see you next time.
Pros, save more on what you need to get the job done right. Right now at Lowe's. Get 15% off select custom entry and interior doors. Plus, save $80 on the DeWalt 20-volt Max 2-tool combo kit. Now just $169. And at the Lowe's Pro Desk, bring us your materials list and get a quote in minutes. Handwritten, a photo, or even a sticky note is all you need. Keep your jobs moving faster and on budget at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
When your daughter's learning how to drive, you say,
Híjole, here we go.
but what you should say is,
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
to help you choose the coverage you need. State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.